Scott Johnson here. In addition to being a paraprofessional in the special education program at my high school, I also teach biology in our district's alternative high school program. It's an afternoon and night program that our district offers to students with extenuating circumstances. As a fairly new teacher, I find that I often need to work together with skilled veterans to help put together my bi-weekly lessons. Sal here has been an exceptional resource to collaborate with while putting together class plans. Great depth of knowledge both in the content and delivery of the content. In addition to collaborating on lesson plans, we work together to ensure that assignments meet the needs of the several students that I have on IEPs. Okay, so for today's lesson, since last class we got into the circulatory system a little bit, we discussed the anatomy of the heart. I think that we're going to move on to today to discussing a little bit more of how the heart actually works, what makes it pump, what the major function of the circulatory system is. Now, I'm going to have the kids start off by doing about 10 minutes of finishing up a diagram, so that kind of links last class with what we're going to be talking more about this class.
Okay, so what you've done so far, you've talked about the anatomy of the heart. So you talked about the right and left sides, the atrium, ventricles.
Right.
I think the biggest thing to stress there then is for the function. A lot of kids have trouble with the lungs being a separate system from the body. So your heart's pumping, they think, oh, it comes in, it just goes out to the body. Well, what also has to happen is that blood has to get to the heart, to the lungs
Dorr,
themselves.
could you please call 1201? Teresa Dorr, please call 1201.
Life of the school. So when the kids associate the arteries with carrying oxygen in the blood, well, you have the pulmonary artery, which doesn't actually carry oxygen because it's taking all that blood back to the lungs. The transfer happens, and this whole left side of the heart pumps directly to the lungs.
Right, so this would be a good opportunity to describe or to show an example of how the different systems within the body are actually linked together to perform, a more general function of keeping the body in a state of homeostasis.
Yeah, and the biggest crossover is we refer to the cardiovascular system.
Right.
It's hard for them to separate the circulatory system from the pulmonary system, and so the cardiovascular includes both, but you really want to stress that the respiratory system and the cardiovascular, I just said it, but the circulatory system,
there we go,
are the one that they're two separate entities that really, without each other, they don't.
Now, after discussing a little bit of the physiology of the heart, how it works, also discussing how it's related with or interconnected with the pulmonary system, the respiratory system rather. I'd like to get these students doing something that's a little bit more interactive. Several of them are on IEPs for having attention-related issues, and given that we have a 1.5-hour class as opposed to the traditional 45-minute class, I think that they need to do something that gets them up and moving. So I'm going to do some work up at the board that has them coming up, labeling different parts of the heart and discussing what the function is or what point during blood flow through the heart those areas will be in use. From your experience in working with students on different levels, is that something that you find useful with students that have different attention issues?
Yeah, I mean, honors levels kids, they want to take notes on the board.
Right.
But I find some of these other kids, it's really good to have them going up to the board or breaking that class period up into chunks and not 30-minute chunks. I'm talking 10-minute chunks where you were doing something, you explain something, then you have them do something. Simple things like just getting them out of their seat to come to the board. Or another teacher here did for this, she took tape, red and blue tape, and made a big heart on the floor so that they could go over and actually walk to that heart and then walk the path through where the blood flow. So it's, getting them up and moving around, and then having them go through that, I think it helps them to focus on, okay, I'm walking this, the right ventricle, I'm going to the lung, the left ventricle. I'm
It
going
makes
to
it a little
the
bit
body.
more relevant for
Yeah.
them, and they get to experience it
Right.
as well.